one of the things we hear sometimes is say, and whenever I take my bike in, they always replace the chain. And the perception on that is that's the upsell. The replacement of chains can actually save you money in the long run.
It
right?
can. So a lot of bikes that come in for tune-ups do need a chain because chains do what's called stretch. It's a little bit of confusing of a term because the metal's not stretching. What's happening is that the pins through the plates, they roll around between those plates as the chain bends around the crankset,
right.
bends between the pulleys around the cassette. And so those round rollers start wearing down the holes that they're pressed into, making those holes bigger. And so therefore there's more slop in those pins. And if you put a worn chain up against a new chain, link for link, that worn chain is now half an inch longer, 3/4 of an inch longer than the new chain.
Right.
That means the pitch of the holes, the pitch of the plates that are supposed to engage all those teeth is now longer than those teeth. And so you begin to wear down your cassette teeth, wear down your chainring teeth. Catch the chain. If you replace the chain at its wear point, then you can put on just put on a chain, and you can keep the same cassette for 3-4 chain replacements.
But if you use the chain for too long,
yes,
it changes the shape.
It changes the shape of all the teeth, and therefore a new chain will no longer mesh with those teeth.
So then you're forced with replacing the chain and the cassette.
Yep. Usually first the cassette, and usually it's because and especially your favorite cogs that you use the most are really worn, and they will skip and pop.
Yep.
There is a way to measure it with a ruler. Basically, pin to pin should be exactly 12 inches.
Okay.
And then depending on the chain, it's like 12 and 1/8 is worn, or 12 and 3/8 is worn. And then there are just very, very simple, cheap tools that you can put down into the links. And it's almost like a go, no-go. But you have to know which side you're using for your particular chain. It's also a case where a lot of shops, if your chain is just past worn and it's time to change the chain, they'll also say you need to change your cassette. And that is unfortunately not the case. What I will usually do when I change the chain is then I test ride the bikes outside, and I will put pressure on every single cog on the rear, making sure that there's no skipping under reasonable pressure that I can do in the parking lot.
Okay.
If a chain is way past its stretch point, it is almost certain that there are a couple cogs on the rear of the cassette that are worn down too bad.
Right.